Yes, sir. Thank you for calling me. I greatly appreciate that. I want you to know that this has been very rough for me, and I just need for you to know how rough things really are, Mr. McKenna, okay? I, for 14 years, have been fighting for my life, my children, and it started November 4th of 2006. I went into the school at Brighton Elementary and I hand delivered them a written letter from me, acknowledgement that in 30 days I was flying to Florida to look for property, and I'd be gone 3 nights, 4 days. That's exactly what I did. Throughout the school year, there were concerns written to the school board that a teacher was interested personally in my daughter, and her homeroom teacher was concerned about the growing relationship. He wrote the letter. I've got a copy of it to the Board of Education. He got fired 3 weeks later. He had been there for 23 years, no kind of background, no problems whatsoever. The teacher was taking my daughter out of school throughout the school year. Throughout that year, I would travel down every month or every other month, just check on the progress of the home and all that stuff, and preparing for the move at the end of the year. In May, they told me that they thought there was a warrant and that Teddy Miller was looking for me. Well, I finally got a hold of somebody to find out if there was a warrant for me, what it's for. It ended up being that Lombardo called Maine Attorney General and found out there was no warrant, and he told Teddy Miller, I've got it in paperwork from the court, that Teddy Miller was told to take that out of the NCIC. And Heidi Storm sent me a copy of that. There was no warrant. Teddy Miller had fictitiously put a warrant in the computer on me.
Okay, Kim, who's Ted Miller?
He was the constable in Island Pond in 2007, okay? He had been here for 2 years.
Who is Lombardo?
Lombardo is a state trooper still today.
What is it, Lombardi? Clark Lombardi?
Yes, sorry, Lombardi.
Okay.
Yes, okay.
So what did that Lombardi do?
Lombardi called, he was contacted, I have the printout from Heidi Storm, he was contacted May 25th of 2007 in regards to a warrant for my arrest. He, at that time, contacted Maine State Attorney General and found out no, in fact, there was no warrant. There had not ever been a warrant for my arrest. There was a fictitious story made, premeditated, to keep my children in the state of Vermont instead of us residing down in Florida, where I had just divorced. 2 years prior to that was finalized, and I was trying to make our way as a single mom and promote a better life for my children to grow, okay? And they didn't. So what happened was,
make sure I know what we're talking about. Clark Lombardi, he just checked with me.
he called, the report says that he called the Maine State Attorney General's office and found that there was no warrant for me. And he advised Teddy Miller to take the warrant out of the NCIC that he had entered in there.
Okay, and then he told Teddy to take the warrant.
Yeah, it says so right in, yeah, I can send a copy of that email from Heidi to you so you know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
Okay, I will do that. And so, okay, so then on June 10th, May, it was a Sunday, and I was getting out of church with my little girl. We went to Florida. I did mom-daughter trips. I have 3 beautiful daughters. I took 3 beautiful daughters, mother-daughter, so they could find out where we were going to be living. We were moving to a quaint little town, Montverde, private academy for my daughters to attend. And when I get out of church, I get a phone call from Billy Joe Bone. She's very well known, very well liked in this town. Her whole family grew up here. They've been here for years. She called me frantic. She was my best friend when I lived up here. And her daughter and my daughter, if her daughter wasn't at my house, my daughter was at her house. And vice versa. I mean, we just lived right around the corner from each other. Well, Billy called me to tell me that my home had been vandalized, broken into and vandalized, and that Teddy Miller didn't finish taking pictures because he said he ran out of camera film. This was front page of the newspaper, Caledonia Record newspaper, that they saw 2 juveniles coming out of my home. Eyewitnesses reported 2 juveniles coming out of the apartment, okay? When I got home, I immediately went home. I flew home before I was due to fly home with my daughter to check on everything. When I got home, my home was completely vandalized. Town officials, including Mary Hare, the teacher, the IEP teacher that groomed my daughter, she came to my house and she said, "Oh, I've made arrangements for you to stay with your sister until the end of the school year, and I will do the transporting of your children." Okay. So my daughters and I stayed with my sister, and they said, "Don't worry about the apartment, Kim. It's too much trauma. We'll get it cleaned up for you." They killed my daughter's bird and put it underneath my bed sheets. I found that. They cut up all our family pictures. They ruined my furniture, poured milk on it, turned the heat up, and opened the windows. I had blower furniture. They totally destroyed my stuff. So I stayed.
Kim, when was this?
That was that week of May 14th, 2007. So this all coincides with the premeditated abandonment of my children that they came at me with. So I was staying there at my sister's in Morgan, okay, on 114, and Mary would come up every morning and pick up my daughters to school and drop them back off to me as I waited at the bus with my niece and nephews, and they were going to school at North Country. On June 10th, I gave the children an 8th grade graduation party at my sister's house. My daughter had a few friends up, my niece and nephews were there, and my other children. Mary Hare called Brianna, my oldest daughter, this is the issue, and asked her if I heard her by phone say, "Well, ask your mom if she would mind that I stop by and help her get you girls ready for the graduation, Brianna." And I overheard her. I said, "That's fine," because I was standing right by Brie and I was doing another girl's hair. I said, "That's fine, Brie, have her come up." She came up, she only stayed for a few minutes. She braided one girl's hair and she said she had to go real quick. Then she calls Brie and she tells Brie, "Tell your mom Teddy's got a warrant for her. If she comes down to your graduation, he's going to arrest her. It'll be an embarrassment to you." I missed my daughter's graduation because of PTSD of them doing that before to me 2 years prior to that. At her 6th grade graduation up in the state of Maine, they came at me and told me they had a warrant and found out they didn't have a warrant, but they had handcuffed me and taken me out of the graduation to tell me I didn't have a warrant. So I didn't want to embarrass my daughter again, so I missed her 8th grade graduation and patiently waited for her to be returned. Then I went to Maine and I spent a week with the children at a campground so that they could visit with their father one last time. He came back every day after work. It's all in my paperwork. He'll tell you too. He was there. He wouldn't cancel with us. I dropped him off July 5th when we were on our way to Barnstable, Massachusetts to set up for the carnival. My grandfather is a settler of Barnstable County, Massachusetts. He settled it in 1600s, okay? We go down there because we are carnival owners and showmen. And that's our life. That's what we've done all our lives. Our family are owners of circus and carnival. My deceased husband was an owner. We were there. I went to a funeral. I got a phone call that said, "Kim, where are you?" I said, "I'm just coming back from the Rhode Island side. I just had to go to a funeral. What's up?" I thought it was a worker. He said, "Well, this is Falmouth Police Department. We have a warrant of abandonment and we're taking your daughter." I said, "Hold up, what's going on?" I said, "I'm about 16 miles away. Can you wait for me?" He didn't wait for me. They told me they were going to. I get to the lot. My daughter was gone. They told me I could go to the police department. And I get there, and they wouldn't let me see it. They said that I smelled like alcohol. I don't drink alcohol, sir. I don't do drugs. I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't even take medication for my medical issues. And they told me I couldn't go see my daughter because I smelled like alcohol. And I swear, this is all reports. Everybody knows I don't drink alcohol. Everybody knows I don't ever do drugs. And they know I don't smoke cigarettes. So they deterred me from seeing my daughter, gave me the paperwork at 6 o'clock at night. They told me I had to be in Caledonia County Court the next morning. And at the same time, there was a repo man there to take my brand new Chevy Tahoe. They said that I had done a voluntary repo. No, I did not. But I had sent a $600 payment with my daughter to my sister's house and asked my sister to put it in the bank for me. And that never happened. So when they took my kids, Mary Hare showed up 2 days later at Barnstable County Fairgrounds. And she said, "Hi, Kim, how you doing?" I was over by the fencing. I was tying off the fence to bring the animals out. And I was very upset and distraught because they had told me, you know, the guy, he let me use my vehicle. He said, "I see what's going on here." He said, "Look, you go to your court date." He said, "And just promise me you'll be back here Saturday, have the vehicle cleaned out, and we'll do what we have to do." And that's what we did. After that, Mary Hare showed up. She says, "I didn't know anything about it. I don't know what's going on. I was on vacation. They just cut my cruise short." She said, "Come with me. I'll give you a ride to Vermont." So, of course, me, scared to death, not knowing what's going on with my kids, I went with her. I trusted her. She's smoking cigarette one right after the other. I never knew the woman to smoke cigarettes. She puts me in a motel up in Newport. Tells me she'll be right back. She's a mandated reporter. She paid for it on her credit card. She went over to DCF, and I never saw her again because she went over and picked up my daughter and became her foster mother. Her husband was Border Patrol. They placed my other 2 children with the Vermont State Detective, Real Robillard. This was violation of due process by Amy LeClaire. Amy Basari LeClaire. She took the report. She said that she couldn't call me or contact me in any way. I have the paperwork sitting right here in my face. She bold-faced lied. She never tried contacting me. This was all premeditated. I had never left my children for any reason. And they took my children, and they kept them from me, and they kept them from me, and they kept them from me. And I proved my innocence in the court, and the judge put down, because I suffer from a pacemaker, that I would never be physically fit to take care of my children again. Well, hold up now. I was a healthy person until they took my children, and I suffered shock to my system that caused me broken heart syndrome. I ended up with a complete block and a pacemaker. Just like that. And then they called and said, I couldn't see my kids unless I went at my next visit, which was 3 weeks after I had a pacemaker implant. I told them, my doctor sent them a letter, told them that. So they played me along. They played me along until they terminated my rights because they kept them the 3 years. They never tried one time to reunify her, okay? I tried for 14 years to get Vermont State Police to reopen this case because I have all proof. When I can't sleep for 14 years, tossing and turning because I know I've been done wrong and my daughters have too, there's a problem. And I have called and I have called and I have called. The courts can even tell. I have called many years in a row and monthly to get my information and have somebody look into this. And why won't anybody look into this? Because it is a committed crime, organized crime, no doubt about it.
Let me just ask you, what is it that you want somebody to look into?
I want the misconduct that these police officers looked into. I want Amy Basari investigated for her actions in stealing, kidnapping, and destroying my family. That's what I want. That's the first time.
What Amy did and what she did.
Amy wrote a statement too on July 17th. She submitted paperwork to the judge July 17th of 2007 to take my children into custody on a fictitious faxed allegation and statement of complaint by all parties: Pamela Taylor, Mary Hare, Amy Basari, and a couple others that I'm not aware of the names. I don't know the people, but all of them intertwined. Michael Knox as well, the old principal, and Teddy Miller. Okay, so those are the ones that wrote statements saying that they hadn't seen or heard from me. And they all need to be looked into because those are falsified statements that destroyed my family. And this happened, okay, she got the warrant July 17th. So they took my they took my youngest daughter and my oldest daughter because I had my middle one with me, Kiana. They took Savannah and Brianna, the daughter of interest, to Marion and Real Robillard's house. So he was the detective. for Vermont State Police out of Derby Barracks. He ended up being the foster provider for my 2 daughters, and Mary Hare and Jeff Hare being Border Patrol, had my other daughter, the one that they were interested in.
Okay, Kim, I'll explain what my job is with the state police.
Mm-hmm.
And that way it might kind of give us a better idea what we can do. So, I am the Director of Internal Affairs.
Mm-hmm.
My job is to investigate allegations of misconduct by members of the state police. By misconduct, what I mean is if they violate a policy of the state police,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's an allegation that they violate a policy of the state police, then it would be my job to investigate. So when we talk about Riel Robillard, who no longer works for the state police, I can't do anything about that. Ted Miller, who does not work for the state police, can't do anything about that. The former principal, any member of the public, I would not investigate them. Amy Massari, the fact that this happened in 2007 and that it's a warrant that was signed by a judge, I can bring that to the commissioner's attention, and I will.
Please do.
Yeah, but I don't know that there'll be any investigation from that. I need to be prepared for that.
Well, you know, at least listen, Mr. McKenna, you right now are doing more than any one person has even given me opportunity to hear, okay? And so I want to thank you for that, right up front, because I have no reason to lie, sir. I take my religion and faith very seriously. I am a Quaker by religion and belief, okay? My family is very prominent and noble. And why am I having to go through this? I don't know. But if you knew my lineage, you would wonder why as well. But you would probably, being a police officer, be able to figure it out real quick why my girls are indigents. Okay, we come from England. Our family, the Howes, which we're related to the Bushes, and that's no joke. That's in our lineage. It's in our ancestry, George W. Bush. I feel as though I have been a center of organized crime since the day I was born, because they have a history of captivating my family. A year after they took my children from Barnstable, right from my grandparents' land, they returned my cousin that they had in captivity overseas through the military to Barnstable, Massachusetts. I mean, I've been through this my whole life of having to fight my way, and I'm not out here trying to break a law. If I'm breaking a law, I'm not aware of it, okay? Because I purposely stay to myself, mind my business, and just do what I need to do. Whether it's I wake up in the morning and I'm told, you know, it's a mission. It's a mission. It's a religious mission, and it's not to be out here committing crime. So when crime is committed against me, I take that to heart.
Right. So, Kim, let me ask you while I have you on the phone. Do you have any concerns or issues with current members of the state police?
Yes, I do. Amy Basari. Amy Basari. She's still on the force after she ruined my family and nobody would listen.
And this is from 2007.
Yep, and I have been trying every year, all year long. I try through the courts to get my records, and they would block me one way or the other. The judge finally said that I could get them, but he put a price tag so high that I can't ever afford them, okay? This is just one
so
of
the courts, I can't do anything about the courts.
Right, I understand that, but you said who's involved, and I'm just trying to let you know who currently.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
So aside
and
from
so,
Amy,
okay, now we'll go to.
Another incident with her since 2007. Aside from Amy, is there anybody else?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, who's that?
I was residing in Barnet, Vermont. I stayed there off and on for quite some time, year after year, since 2015. I stay there during the summer. I plant some vegetables. It's old family land. My aunt told me to go stay there because my father and I don't get along. I reported my brother sexually molesting me to the family, and I've been shunned for years. So before my aunt died, she said, Kimberly, please go plant some food and share the crop. I said, okay. So I went down, I started staying at the family land, and power on, mail coming. All of a sudden I find out that there's an ad that the property's been foreclosed on. I automatically picked up the phone. I called North Country Federal Credit Union. I said, hey, if there's a problem, let me know. This is my family's land. I didn't know. They said, well, if there's a problem, we'll let you know. They came down in June. There was no problem. My house trailer's there. My car's there. I'm there. They know I'm living there. November 19th of 2019, I had no choice but to file for protection for my own safety because I was being harassed by a federal corrections officer who sexually assaulted me. I reported it, and Vermont State Police still to this day have not taken my report. Okay? And I feel that's discrimination. Not only that, I reported that to, I've got the copy of the email, it's on this phone, I can't get to it right now, but I will email that copy to you as well, because in that, it's the guy that's, the fire, inspector for Vermont State Police up in Derby, okay, the trooper that is investigating the fire that happened in Holland, Vermont, at Mark Newell's house. He burnt his house down. And yeah, I was trying to take a deep breath because I'm kind of hurt about this. I was renting a cabin from him, and that's where he assaulted me. He also took my dog, which is a service dog, and dropped her off at the end of the road, and a farmer picked her up, and it was just by God's luck that I was able to get my dog back, and even the same day. He came up, I reported...
A member of the state police assaulted you?
No, a guy that's a federal corrections officer, and the state police won't do anything about it. I reported it, and they won't do anything. I reported it. Mark Newell. Mark Newell. And I reported it to Essex County Sheriff's Department. They didn't do anything about it, so I told them I was going to call the Vermont State Police, and the Vermont State Police wouldn't do anything about it. And I put it all in email so that I would have record of it. I emailed the Vermont State Police because it gave the name of the person to contact in regards to Mark Newell's house fire. Well, I even sent him pictures of when I came back into the cabin one day, I could feel a negative presence, okay? And just as I opened the door, I noticed that there was a little hole behind the chimney pipe in the cabin, and there was insulation planted around the bottom of the fire. The bottom of the wood burning fire pit, and that shouldn't have happened because that was new wall. So I automatically, when I seen that, not only that, but at the same time, within a couple of days, I was laying on the couch in the cabin. Now, mind you, I'm off grid, a mile up in the woods, all by myself, okay, and I heard a sawing noise. Well, I knew it wasn't a woodpecker or anything. It sounded like a chisel or something. I'm not stupid, but I wasn't going to go and open the door and find out either. I'm up in the woods. So I had to message somebody on Facebook. I don't know what's going on, but something isn't right. I hear a sawing noise outside. Well, that next day, and I can get this information from my AAA now, I had to call AAA because what happened? Somebody cut my coil spring on my car. And when I was going down the road, my coil spring fell through my tire. And I had to call AAA. I could have died, sir. Also...
Okay, let me interrupt you. So, I do see a report, an investigative report about the assault. I'm just looking at it, and so the end of it says, pending review of the state's attorney, this investigation is currently closed. That it will be reopened if you, contact the state police and are willing to speak with Detective Sergeant Darren Ennis, who's now retired, or any other trooper or detective regarding it. So it looks
Nobody ever contacted me about that. Seriously. So this is what I'm leading up to, okay? This is
yeah. So I just want to let you know where this is. That
okay.
Detective Sergeant Ennis, he's retired now, but he attempted to contact you on a bunch of different occasions and wasn't able to.
I had filed for protection order and it was denied, so I fled for my safety. So I don't know how he tried contacting me, but
that's okay. What I want to make sure that you know is that
yes.
Your complaint about the assault didn't go uninvestigated.
Okay, but I wanted investigated because this is serious. This is a serious crime that was committed against me, and he's the only person that knew I was up in that cabin, so he's the only one that could have gone up there. And then periodically I'd run out of gas. Why should I run out of gas in a little Subaru Legacy?
Kim, what I'm telling you is this. If you are looking to continue the investigation into this case,
yes.
You want that investigation to continue?
Yes, sir, I do. Yes, sir.
Okay. Then contact the Derby Barracks.
Okay.
And ask to speak with the detective. I will email you a case number if you'd like.
Yes, sir.
And reference that. I'm going to email it to you now.
Okay.
It's just going to say case number.
Okay.
And the email. And then it'll have it. So you can reference that and say, hey, my understanding is
Thank you. Thank you.
I'd like a detective to look into this.
Okay. And so here's the thing. They may have even tried to mail me something, sir. But here's another. This is getting deep now, okay? Because I filed that and nothing happened. I also went in my file for protection for the and then when it was on the federal court on October 31st, I got almost into my interior. I was going down over a hill and apron dropped my car because somebody took the bolt out of the apron from my car and I nearly died. And I did. I had to call AAA to call. And the guy looked at my car and he said, sweetheart, he said, somebody fucking with you. Excuse my language, but that's exactly what he told me. He said, there's no reason why an apron won't drop out. He said, that's all they did was put an apron bolt out. It is 1.5 to 2 years old. He said, you took it out and he said, you don't want to die. I said, I understand. Because the whole apron dropped to the ground. I was going down a little a curving hill going toward Moss River. And when the apron dropped down, I automatically, my car started skipping like it was going to bounce end over front, okay? And I had to maneuver that car down over that hill, and I got it turned into a driveway of a farm, business farm there. And I stopped right in front of a big pile because God was with me. And that's disgusting to know that this is the stuff that I put up with, and this guy happens to be a federal corrections officer. So I fled, but I didn't flee until I put in a hold my mail notice, November 19th, sent out to the federal court, protection from abuse orders to be looked at and to either be agreed upon or set for fair hearing. Well, before I left, I took pictures and I complained to the post office about the mailman messing with my mail. He would sometimes take my mail with the flag up. Sometimes he would just look at it and put it back in there. I had it all on video. I told him on a postcard that I've got a picture of. Mr. Postman, you are on surveillance. I've seen you messing and tampering with my mail. I will call the law. I sent those pictures to Aaron Whitcomb at United States Postal Service. He didn't do anything with it. My mail was to be held. My mail was being sent back. Return to sender. The federal court got 23 cases, plus the Superior Court in St. Johnsbury, 20 cases filed in their court by me. against all of these individuals that have done me wrong, violate my constitutional rights. And what happened to that mail? Returned to sender, because my mailman started putting vacant and abandoned on my mail. See, my property that I resided in was vacant and abandoned, and he sent my mail back, knowing that I had a hold of mail card. Okay? My mail was to be held until January. Now, I called the post office and find out because a court called me and said, Miss Crossan, we're going to reset the date. I said, what date? I haven't gotten any paperwork. She said, well, we got mail returned to us. I said, got returned to you? So I called the post office. I said, Aaron, I've come to you several times about this man messing with my mail. I want to know why my mail's being sent back, returned to sender. I've got a hold of the address card in there. Now I'm stuck out of state because of the pandemic. And I was trying to work so that I could come back home. And I was going to go home to my house trailer and quarantine and be able to find work up here when I got home. But instead, the mailman was delivering my mail back, returned to sender, vacant and abandoned. And then in April, I got a call from a guy that told me his name was Joe. It was 8 o'clock on April 16th. I was at work. And he said, oh, Kim, I was just wondering, are you around? Did you do any work? And I said, actually, no, I'm at work right now. I'm out of state. He said, oh, you're not in Vermont? I said, no, not at the moment. Due to this pandemic, I've gone out of state to work. He said, oh, that's cool. He said, I was just wondering if you wanted to work at a subdivision, because I have an EIN for a sole proprietor to do home preservation. Okay? And now when I did that, that clued to me, he's the one that took my trailer. Because all of a sudden, my neighbor calls and he says, well, hey girl, where'd you move to? And I said, I didn't move anywhere. You know I'm down here working. I can't wait to come home. He said, well, your trailer's gone. I said, man, this ain't April Fool's. What's going on? And he said, no, Kim, your trailer's gone. I thought you moved. I said, no, what are you talking about? So what I do, I called and I got Sean Brannon on the phone. Well, Sean Brannon says that he tried to call me back, but he didn't call my phone number, so I don't know where he called, but he didn't contact me back. So months go by, and I'm still trying to get Vermont State Police to find my house trailer that's got all of my stuff in it, and I had to call somebody else in on it. I think it was Birmingham. And he hasn't done anything about it other than tell me that he was going to put somebody on it, and said that he had had Sean Brannon go to the bank. I said, first of all, Sean Brannon already did wrong, and I don't want him on my case because he is a conflict of interest. I want somebody that's going to work this case and find my house and my car, and who made me tried to make me a non-resident of Vermont because I had already collected my signatures to run for state representative. Now I couldn't even run the campaign because my mail was diverting back to sender saying that I had a vacant abandoned property, and they set it up so that my house trailer and my car were taken. They said the bank did it. The bank had no business doing it because they didn't tell me they wanted me to move. They didn't evict me. So why is it a civil matter? It's not a civil matter. That's larceny. When you steal somebody's property in the state of Vermont, you are supposed to give a notice or an eviction, and I never got either one. I still have a power bill. I still have a power bill because I didn't know that the bank had taken my house trailer and my car. There were no payments on them. That's all of everything that I own in my life. Plus, that was all of my family's ashes that I had. So I hope they're really enjoying being in my camper playing with dead people's ashes, because I'm totally disgusted by this. That is a morbid, sinful thing to do to a person. I am far from being a criminal. I want justice. I want justice, and I want justice. This has been very unfair treatment to me. I am a natural-born citizen to the state of Vermont, Barnet, Vermont. I was on my family's land that my grandparents were born on, and all my stuff comes up missing. Then I was considered homeless. because I had no place to go, but I was still paying a power bill on the property that I lived on. So I had to, when I was able to come home, I had to quarantine on a park bench in Bellows Falls, Vermont, where the bus landed because there was no bus closer to anywhere that I could go. So I got off the bus in Bellows Falls, Vermont, and the only place I knew to go where I knew somebody would be friendly to me, and I had to spend 2 weeks. They wouldn't even let me go to a food pantry and get food. Okay? I couldn't go inside because I don't quarantine, because I had just come from out of state. I couldn't go anywhere. Nowhere. And then Birmingham tells me he's going to close the case because it's a civil matter that the bank took it? No, it's not a civil matter because they did not tell me they needed me to move or wanted me to move, and they didn't evict me. So how can that be a civil matter? That is criminal. That's larceny. They stole my house and my car and made me homeless. And it's also a major crime to be messing with the United States Postal Service mail, as well as it is to organize a crime to make me a non-resident of the state of Vermont, ineligible to run for representative or anything for a minimum of 2 years. And these are the things that nobody wants to listen to. So I went over Birmingham to O'Donnell. And he's saying the same thing. They're not going to do anything. Well, Biden, it is a crime what they've done to me. And my mail being diverted. Oh, and not only my mail being diverted, but when I got back to the state, somebody called on the hotline to Social Security Administration and told them that I had changed my address to Montverde, Florida. I hadn't lived in Montverde, Florida since 2010. I am a resident of the state of Vermont. So there again, I couldn't even get general assistance to get into a motel to quarantine. I had to sleep on a park bench down at the Waypoint Center in Bellows Falls, Vermont, with the homeless people that do heroin and drink all the time. That's what I've been subjected to at the hands of these state police officers and the other ones that conspired the organized crime against me. So the mail is still being diverted. I'm not receiving my mail. I'm only receiving some of my mail. Not only that, I was on disability because of my Lyme disease and PTSD from domestic violence of my ex being a sergeant still on the force. The Skowhegan Police Department used to beat the hell out of me all the time. He's still a cop there. And I still have to deal with all of this. And I'm tired of being harassed. I am tired of being abused. I am tired of being beat. And I'm tired of people calling me names and defaming me. I can't even qualify right now, Mr. McKay, for $53 general assistance to get toilet paper, toothpaste, or nothing. Because I haven't been in this place long enough. Then it goes to the Department of Labor.
Okay, let me just stop you for a second. I'm hearing what you're telling me.
Mm-hmm.
What I can tell you is, as far as Sean Brennan and that stuff goes, Sean is operating off what the bank has told him.
Mm-hmm.
That they've foreclosed on the property and that they paid a tow truck company to remove the trailer and that stuff.
And Sean Brennan